I'm Maureen Kiley. I'm the founder of the South Shore Local Directory Program. And one of the amazing things that we do is we interview the business owners that are part of this. And this is our founders round of bringing in businesses. And I am here today to interview, and this is not pressure or anything, but it is about getting a sense of the business owner behind the business. And that's why we do these spotlight videos, so residents can see what we're doing, what the businesses are doing, and how actually extraordinary some of these businesses are. And I happen to be with someone I think is very extraordinary with what she's doing. And it's Yulia. I'm going to mess it up. I'll look right. Yulia Urina. No?
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. And I have Yulia here because she joined us and she does some very interesting things. She's rebranding her company name. So her new company name is YDerma Clinica, and she's based out of Apollo Beach. And what we're going to start off with, Yulia, is let's talk a little bit about you and where you're from, because most people aren't Floridian, right? And talk about who you are, where you came from, a little bit about your family, anything you'd like to tell people that are watching this video a little bit about yourself on a personal level.
Sure. My name is Yulia. I was born and raised in Russia. I immigrated to US 25 years ago when I was 21 years old. I came here all on my own. I didn't have any family here. I just wanted to explore the world. And I was very fascinated by America growing up. And I'm like, it was a huge opportunity for me that I took when I moved here. When I moved initially here, obviously, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I was 21. And I just did different types of jobs, from housekeeping. I worked as a AAA dispatcher in a local company. I've worked in Stop and Shop and deli department. So I've done little jobs, as well as I worked in summer camp with kids as help in the kitchen during that time. And over time, a fascinating story that I actually ended up taking care of an elderly couple. Their names were Edward and Edwina, believe it or not. Wow. Down on the Cape in Massachusetts. And they were the first one to tell me that, Yulia, you should go into nursing. You should be a nurse. You have great qualities of nursing. And I'm like, I never thought about, nursing. And in Russia, I graduated from a college with major in English and minor in German. So I was like a linguist there. So never thought about nursing. I started my career as a home health aide, became certified nursing aide. I went to school and became licensed practical nurse. I worked for a few years. While working, I went again and get my associate's degree in nursing to become a registered nurse. And then I went back and got my bachelor's science of nursing. That's actually happened in 2018, finally. During my nursing career, I worked from a floor nurse, caring directly to the patients. And my highest position was a director of nurses at the nursing home. And my most recent nursing experience with the hospice and palliative care, where I've been for over 11 years at this point as well.
Okay. And so you came down, what brought you down from Massachusetts to Florida?
When I met my husband and we had our daughter, we had a lot of conversation, like where we want to live. And while she was still little and young, we wanted to make that move before she, gets old and has her friends. And we just always loved warm weather and wanted to have palms in our backyards. So here we are.
That's like all of us who transplanted from here, I think. We love that warmth and every time you have to go to the cold, right? You're like, got to brace yourself. Yeah. So you live in the Waterset area, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So you came here and then you started first under another brand and you started working with, now what made you open up your own shop to do permanent makeup, and you called it camouflage or scar revision? Because that was kind of like the first thing you started with, correct?
I started with the permanent makeup first.
Okay.
So I think I loved always being a nurse, but I felt like I never had my creative part like out. I always like to be creative, and over the years, I just got drawn into permanent makeup, seeing a lot of transformation that people were having with watching beautiful artists with beautiful work. So I traveled all the way to New Hampshire to be trained by one of the great artists, to start my permanent makeup. And that's why it was started as a kind of an outlet for my creativity. And I just enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed making people happy, making their, face change. So that's how I kind of drawn into permanent makeup. I've always also never thought of myself being a great, artist in terms of like when I was in school. I never had really great, couldn't draw much and things like that. So when it was like a challenge for myself, like I want to learn, I want to master, I want to do something that creative with it, that I can enjoy myself and share with the, my clients.
So in the permanent makeup side, what do you do? Like, so if somebody's watching this video and they're like, okay, well, what is permanent makeup? So kind of tell people a little bit about that.
Sure. So today's permanent makeup is a little bit different. We should really call it semi-permanent makeup. Over years, it's transformed a lot. But initially, when it started years ago, let's say go back like 15, 20 years ago, it used to be just a simple tattoo that some tattoo artists would put on, like eyebrows if somebody had like alopecia, and the ink was placed so deep inside that sometimes even 20 years later, people are still walking around with those deep blue, deep gray, sometimes even green brows, because that's what we knew that time. Over the years, it's just developed so much. Nowadays, we have special inks and pigments designed for the brows, and the technique evolved, so the brows will fade out over time. It's done on purpose as our skin ages, as like we move from one territory to another. Let's say from like myself from Boston to Florida, our environment changes, so the ink needs to fade out. So a new ink that better suits the client's face and skin tone could be applied in the future. So semi-permanent makeup includes brows, different types of techniques of brows, eyeliners, and lip blush, and all of those areas have multiple techniques to achieve the desired result for the client.
Okay, and so these inks are, I think you were telling me before something about the quality of your inks. So is there like a difference between the inks that different companies use?
Or absolutely. I use European inks that are developed and tested in Europe, which have very high standards for inks. And a lot of heavy metals or additives that are allowed in US-based inks are not allowed and forbidden in European Union. So I kind of pride myself on having those inks that are safer, have less potential harm for my clients, and they're beautiful.
Yeah, no, that's excellent, because the metal, in everything, right? It's just, we don't need one more thing that's got toxins in us, right? So talk about the camouflage. Like, I saw the photos that you showed me, so I think this is pretty remarkable. And tell me what you're doing with that, the camouflage and the scar revision.
As a permanent makeup artist, I always used to, and still am, going to different conferences to continue to improve my skills. So a few years back, I went to a conference where I came across the camouflage that a lot of permanent makeup artists were getting into. And what it is that permanent makeup artists are able to camouflage scars, stretch marks, or other skin imperfections to blend it seamlessly into the client's skin for a better appearance. And I was just fascinated by that. I'm like, what? I can do that? I can help someone? So I traveled all the way to California and trained hands-on with the best of the best in the industry in the camouflage, with Bianca Festejo, as well as recently traveled to Texas and trained with Shay Danielle and a few other artists who travel, very famous in this industry, also for hands-on. And I'm just fascinated. I'm like, I never knew you can do those things and achieve beautiful results, like help someone who's been hiding the scars or stretch marks. Like I've had so many clients saying like, I did not want to wear a bathing suit to the beach because I'm so ashamed of the scar or a stretch mark or some type of skin imperfection. So when I started first doing it, it just brought so much, reward to myself personally, that I was like, I just want to do. Want to help more people. So yes, camouflage uses skin tone inks to blend scars and stretch marks. I also use inkless scar revision, which is slightly different from a camouflage. So inkless scar revision helps to flatten the scars, improve the texture, make the scar actually physically less noticeable. And once that is achieved with the inkless scar revision, the scar camouflage step comes after that. Using the dual process, not just going to camouflage and from the get-go, but working with the texture first, it improves the results so much that my clients are much happier with the results. And I obviously meet with every client and assess their skin and set expectations, because I'm not a magician and I cannot remove scars and stretch marks permanently. I just can help make them less noticeable.
Okay, so what's that process look like for someone? How many steps is it, like, or visits and such?
That's a great question. For every patient, client, it will be different. It really depends on the type of the scar or stretch mark a client has. The color might be different. The depth of the stretch mark or the scar might be different. The size is different. So for every client, I assess and create a personalized treatment plan. It usually involves like monthly treatments, sometimes 4 to 6 weeks apart, roughly anywhere from 3 to 6 treatments to achieve the desired results. So I will start first initially with inkless scar revision or stretch mark revision, where I use the serums and microneedling technique applying to the scar to flatten the scar and to improve the texture. Once I'm happy how the scar responds in like 2 or 3 treatments, then I move forward to the camouflage, and it usually takes maybe anywhere from 1 to 3 treatments, depending on the scar. So every client is different. So sometimes when somebody calls me and say, how much does it cost? I really cannot tell you, because it might take 2 treatments. It might take 6 treatments. So it really depends on every client individually.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And is the permanent makeup similar, or is that a little shorter span of, like, do you do it in one visit, or you do a consult and then you do then the treatment, or how does that work?
Permanent makeup definitely lasts treatments. It depends again on the procedure. I always encourage to do in-person consultations with my clients. They're always free, where I can answer any questions. I can assess the skin and ask about the goals, what the client is looking for to achieve with that procedure. Usually it's roughly two procedures for a permanent makeup. So they're about 4 to 6 weeks apart. if somebody wants to have a set of new brows or eyeliner or lips. Sometimes if it requires neutralization, like if someone has like dark lips and they want to have beautiful, like maybe pink color or coral color, they will require an additional steps to neutralize the darkness of the lips before I can go ahead and use a target color of the desired color the client would like.
Well, that's interesting. I never realized that.
It's
Okay, I'm learning a lot today.
It's a whole science. When I first started, I had to learn a whole like color theory and science behind it. And skin, obviously I already had a lot of knowledge about skin being a nurse, but it's a lot of information.
No, I guess so. Okay, so now you also do microneedling, so for hair loss. So, and what else does microneedling solve? What other problems?
Yes, absolutely. Microneedling is one of the oldest techniques of skin rejuvenation and benefits. If you ask like any even plastic surgeon or dermatologist, the majority of them always would put microneedling as like number one step, like in your skin routine that you want to use to keep useful, decrease wrinkles, increase the better texture, make sure that skin is like plump and youthful looking. So I use a microneedling technique for hair growth support treatment at my Clinica, where I apply special serum to the scalp and use a microneedling technique to implant that serum into the scalp that helps to waken up the sleeping follicles, to create a healthy environment for on the scalp to promote the growth of the hair follicles. And usually clients start seeing results within like 1 month, but it really depends. The shorter the hair, the faster you can see results. But if you have a longer hair, it usually takes, let's say, 2 to 3 months. But the difference when you put before and after, so within 1 month, you can actually noticeably see that.
So can I ask you a question? I know a lot of people, and a lot of my girlfriends in California actually do hair extensions, but it's ruined their hair, like because their hair is really thin. And then if you do hair extensions over time, that's my observation. I'm not a scientist or anything like that, but I was wondering, would microneedling help people who had hair extensions that have really thin hair?
Absolutely. Micro needling of the hair of the scalp will definitely help everyone. The only people that I think it might not be worthwhile, the clients that have already like completely lost all the hair and have like a very shiny area on the top of the head. That usually tells me that the hair follicle is completely dead and there's no way to bringing them back. But anybody else with like thinning hairline or struggling from hair extensions, because when you put a hair extension, any type of hair extension, it will constantly pull in your hair, even if you think it's light. So this traction that it creates by your hair extension, it will damage the hair follicles. So this treatment does help to strengthen their hair follicles and to promote them to release the hair that might not be otherwise growing.
So it could really help people that have thinner hair. Like you can see I have lots of curl and hair. Like,
yeah, you have good hair. Yes.
I was blessed. So, but I could see, like, I know a lot of women, and I think about men, and I think about, it'd be interesting to see, because we're in a community of a lot of older people, right? Mm-hmm. And there's like people who might really benefit from that. And also the eyebrows, because as we get older, we're losing our hair on our eyebrows and color.
Absolutely.
I mean, do you have a lot of older women or older men that come to you?
Majority of my clients, I would say 50 years and above. So
wow. Okay.
I'd say it's a majority of my clients, at least 50 to 60%. And then, and for the eyebrows, that microneedling technique can also help if you have sparse eyebrows. You don't have necessarily, don't really need to jump into permanent makeup if you didn't want to, but you wanted a fuller brows. Microneedling technique with that growth serum does help to improve the density of your brows as well.
Ooh, okay. That's good information because I didn't know that. All right. So now we're going to talk about your next journey that's coming up. So I know you're going to get some new laser, and I think you should talk to everybody about what you're going to do with this laser in your shop.
Absolutely. So as a permanent makeup artist, I had so many clients that would come into me asking me to change their, eyebrows or eyeliner. Maybe they've had it like for 20 years and it's changed, faded out, and over time became the color, like I mentioned, gray, dark blue, and it's no longer, suits the face and the color of the skin of the client. And some of them I had to turn away because I wasn't able to help them because they needed to have them removed with a laser or any other different type of procedures in order for me to start over again as a permanent makeup artist. And over the last year, I've been doing a lot of research. I've been meeting with a lot of companies to learn about different types of lasers. And I'm very excited. I'm getting, I would say, the top-notch laser device in the country as of today. Things change quick in this industry, but as of today, I think it's the best laser that will help with the clients who need to remove their permanent makeup to start over again. The laser's very powerful. It is safe for all skin types. So if you have very light skin, it's safe for you. And if you have very dark skin, it's safe for you. And a lot of lasers cannot promise it. But this one does, because it's the way it's built is so fast. It has like over 3,000, movements per second. So the skin does not get hot as I work with a laser. It mostly like breaks up the pigment as a shock wave rather than as a heat. So from the movement. And then it is so powerful that it requires way less number of treatments to remove the tattoo or permanent makeup, so the client can have, the new work done sooner rather than waiting longer.
So what else are you going to do with this laser too? Is there anything else that it can do?
Yes, absolutely. Huge. I'm very excited about this. But melasma and hyperpigmentation is I know a lot of my clients have concerns with that, those skin conditions. And this laser literally in 3 treatments can eliminate 90% of the hyperpigmentation and melasma. So sunspots, living in Florida, a lot of us do over time develop those sunspots. So that will be amazing for that as well. I also will be incorporating the same laser for stubborn scars and creating a new protocols for clients who have really bad scars, and actually have a few clients that I'll be incorporating that with. Because when you do a combination treatments, not just stick to microneedling or just the laser, when you combine the treatments modalities together, you always get a better result rather than using one or the other one separately. No matter how good the laser is, it only will give you result the skin is able to respond to. No matter how great the microneedling process is, it only will give you as much as your skin can respond to. But combination of them, they respond differently, so you get a way better results for your concerns.
Okay, so you got me really curious now, because when you say sunspots, you're meaning I'm freckles. Is that considered a sunspot?
Absolutely. If it's developed like a freckles, like on the arms, the face, those can be treated with this type of laser.
So let's say someone has a lot of freckles, right here, like I do. Okay. I mean, I'm Irish descent, English descent. So I'm like the whitest freckled person ever. Plus I'm Auburn. So I'm doomed. I don't go out in the sun unless I go out, but I cover myself pretty good. and I'm not going to lay on the beach. Let's just put it that way. I'm going to be under a tent. So, but can you remove a whole big area, or is it very particular? I'm just curious about, is it small areas or is it large areas? How does that work?
I can do the chest. I can do the back. You know, I wouldn't recommend to do like a chest and the back all together, because it's a lot of laser exposure in one time. And sometimes it like creates, you know, it's just too much for one treatment. I would break them down, for example, in 2 treatments if somebody wants. Something to think of with hyperpigmentation and freckles. If somebody is predisposed to having those, you know, the laser will help to remove them. However, there is a chance you might develop those over time again. So I think, you know, so I think at that point, I would talk to the clients what their goal is. Like if they would like to do periodically those treatments because they really don't like their sunspots or their freckles or something, we can work with them and we have them removed. But it needs to be a good understanding that potentially those can return because those develop from the sun exposure or any other type of like, you know, genetics predisposition that the client might have. So I cannot remove that piece from your lives or from the client's life.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I've had these, like, I think it was from sun exposure when I was really little. Because back then they didn't have a whole lot of, they put the grease rub on you back then. You know what I mean? There wasn't sunblock. It was sun tanning lotion. Everybody wanted sun tanning. I don't know. But okay, that's really interesting. So this laser can do quite a few things for the sunspots, the help with the combination of the scars too, and the micro needling. So it's combined. So this is going to be really interesting. And you basically already have some clients that are waiting for this laser.
Absolutely. And I'll be because I've been sharing this news with some of my clients and they're looking forward. The other great part to this laser is it also helps with skin resurfacing texture for fine lines and wrinkles. So
really?
Also can help like around, it is non-ablative laser. So it does not like I mentioned earlier, create heat, and it does not break the skin. That's the beauty of it. Once you use it, it might have a little redness, but literally 2 hours later, you walk away and you don't really have any redness. With a lot of ablative lasers, such as CO2, for example, where it burns the top layer of your skin and you're like peeling over time, you have a lot of downtime, right? You need to like roughly sometimes 10 days, maybe 2 weeks, if not longer, where you're going to have scabbing, you're going to have skin peeling off. With this type of laser, it works underneath the surface to restructure, retexturize the skin, so it doesn't burn the top layer of skin. So you don't have really much downtime. Maybe 24 hours, I would say. Don't go into the pool or don't swim, you know, in the ocean and things like that, but you're good to go.
So does that also work on the neck and the hands?
Absolutely.
Wow. I'm coming in.
Absolutely.
No, because a friend of mine out in Melbourne Beach, she told me she went to one of these laser things and she was so red and so like, she goes, I'm not going to be able to do anything for at least a week. She goes, I have to like, I don't want to go out and like be in my appointments. She was a real estate agent. And I was like, what did you do? And she goes, well, you know, it's this laser treatment. And, you know, and I'm like, oh, I wouldn't do that because I couldn't not go somewhere for 2 weeks. But anyway.
Something I wanted to add. I absolutely think there's a place and time for those type of lasers to have done, to be done. But just not everybody has that able to take a week or 2 weeks off to get the recovery. So I think it's just everyone's preference and the goals are different. So for some clients, the ablative laser might be the laser to go. And for some clients, it's not.
Okay, well, I guess we're going to have to interview you again when you get the laser so we can do this and let people know what's happening in your clinic later on.
Absolutely.
So I really thank you. Why don't you tell everybody your location? So, and then how to get a hold of you that are watching this video.
Absolutely. So I'm located at 100 Frenderson Circle, Suite 201 in Apollo Beach Boulevard, in Apollo Beach. And my phone number is 508-813-5130. You can call me, text me. Please leave a voicemail if you're calling and I'm not picking up, because I might be with a client. And yes, all my consultations free. We can have consultations over the phone and in person, based on your needs.
All right. Well, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule for doing this. This was really great and very educational. I think people are going to really love your video here.
Thank you so much, Maureen.